Mark Halperin, John Heilemann talking about Mike Huckabee on the day of his announcement. There's only going to be a handful of people who've run before. Huggabee's going to be one of them. You look back at what happened in 2008, where he had some success, most notably in Iowa. Yeah. But cautionary for anybody, first-time candidate or not, when you run and you have some success, with success comes scrutiny. Huckabee's record on handling scrutiny last time, mixed at best.
Mixed at best. He's a guy who has, for all of his geniality and affability, which are undeniable as a public performer, he also has a chip on his shoulder about the size of the Rock of Gibraltar, about the way he gets treated by the mainstream media and by other people in his party. When he was attacked by Mitt Romney last time with a barrage of negative TV ads, he did not handle it well. He did end up winning that Iowa caucus, and you can ask questions about whether he caught fire or whether there was just no way Mitt Romney was ever going to win in Iowa because of various forms of potentially anti-Mormon sentiment out there. But I know you remember very well when Huckabee, on the eve of the caucuses back in 2007, 2008, when he was under the most fire from Romney, when he suddenly announced one day that he was going to run an ad replying to Mitt Romney and tearing the hide off Mitt Romney, and summoned all of the reporters to a ballroom at the Marriott in downtown Des Moines. And you'll remember what happened next.
Well, we watched it this morning. You know, he gave people the impression he was going to unveil this scathingly negative ad to fight fire with fire after Romney had run negative ads.
Put it up all over the air for the whole last week. Yeah.
Came to the press conference and showed the ad after saying, I'm showing it to you, but I'm not going to run it on TV because I decided an hour ago I'm not going to be negative. Now, again, he failed there to impress the press with that performance, but he did win the caucuses overwhelmingly. And it led him to believe, I think, very similar to Newt Gingrich in 2012, you know, I'm not going to go negative, I'm going to jujitsu this and just be positive. Coming out of Iowa, everything fell apart. Didn't do well in New Hampshire, didn't do well in South Carolina, lost that Iowa momentum completely. In part, cynics in politics, hardball politicos would say, because he didn't go negative.
Right. Well, and of course the hilarious thing about that is he didn't even get credit for not going negative, because showing the ad to the national press and then accusing reporters of being cynical in that press conference for viewing it cynically, everyone looked at him and said, what are you, nuts? If you show this to us, you basically are going negative. The interesting thing is, you know, after he took that, nobody thought he would do well in New Hampshire. Everyone thought he would, if he was going to put a stake in the ground, Iowa was not a surprise by the time we got to caucus night. His opportunity was South Carolina, and I know we talked about this a lot at the time. He made the decision to go to Michigan rather than fighting McCain head-to-head in South Carolina, and spent money and time in Michigan, thinking that his economic populist message was as important as his cultural conservative message. He got killed in Michigan, and then he got beat in South Carolina. He was basically done. I wonder about whether in 2016 this mix is still there for him, cultural conservatism and economic populism. My question is whether he still thinks they're equally important. Are they equally important in today's Republican Party? The economic populist message did not work for him in 2008, but it might have a greater chance of having traction in 2016.
Now, everybody talks about the early states, particularly Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina, but March will have a lot of Southern primaries. And Huckabee is a lot of things. He is a Southern candidate. He understands the rhythms of Southern Republican politics, and I wouldn't be surprised if people thinking about where does he up his game, where is he a stronger performer in 2016 than he was in 2008. I think the answer may be the calendar benefits him. If he can get enough money to be in the game, and that's a big if, then he can be a strong candidate.
And you'll come back to that question, a question you and I ask all the time, which is, you know, he does not like to talk to rich people. He does not like to ask for money from rich people. Rich people don't like to give money to him. They don't like his economic populism. There's a lot of reasons why he's had trouble as a fundraiser. Maybe the internet will help him. Maybe his time as a media personality will allow him. I know he's got lists now, but we don't know. He's talked about $25 million, being able to raise that pretty quickly. Haven't seen any sign of it yet. If he can raise money and look like he can go the long haul, he could be a very credible candidate. If he's going to be doing this on a shoestring again, the field is too big. He's not going to have a chance.
Let's see how he raises in the next 24 hours after this announcement. All right, there's a lot more about Mike Huckabee's announcement on BloombergPolitics.com from John and from me and from all our colleagues.